Audio tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, audio tests.
They can't everybody wear masks, but after you all wear masks.
We'll have to have her over by
But don't you really enjoy her new friends?
Yeah. Sure.
Right.
I can handle that.
Okay.
You did a great job.
That's our glamour shot.
Good. Did you show them the original?
Would you touch it up that much?
No. I mean,
What's your
it was her and her husband together, like at a restaurant.
Help me get in.
Congratulations.
Well, my daughter-in-law, Jennifer,
What are you doing?
she is, she's in the studio. She got
Well, it's the same.
So-
Christmas party.
They are.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's doing it right.
Has to
now.
be senior,
It's
it's
zero
zero
feet.
Start
Okay.
taking real quick.
Perfect. They're going to UT Cat.
He was on,
Try going to keep
Hello. JC, what you doing? I'm good. Hey, Aubrey, are you going to UTC? Is that right, Glenn? Okay, for some reason.
on the what like that, get your mouth.
Bethany can do that part. I don't know about they know she's gonna How you doing? Good, how are you? Doing good. She never knows, especially if it's virtual.
what do you want to fix the clock for?
It could be the battery.
That's a house.
It's been throwing me off. The clock in here is wrong. Oh.
It is technology, but I think
Okay, now. Should be connected.
DOE.
Did you have to get on the agenda? Yeah. Okay. So, it's.
we're
I'm
all so
almost there.
muffled and sounding.
New computer, not been in the room before.
Okay, that's fine. We've got time. We need everybody to be tuned in.
We're there.
You got it?
Sorry.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to our August Board of Education meeting. We've had so many virtual meetings and summer meetings and not had summer meetings that we're going to hopefully be back on track. Ms. Julie's going to keep us that way. You've got your calendar with your future board meetings, and they should follow the routine unless things change, which fluid seems to be the word of the year. So we're going to begin with a moment of silence, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please bow your heads.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have someone new at the table this evening. Skylar is down there. She's our student representative, and I've given her a bye tonight. She doesn't have to give a report, but I did say she would like to say something about herself. We would surely enjoy hearing that. Skylar?
As you already know, my name is Skylar. I'm an upcoming senior at Cleveland High School. I'm involved in a lot of extracurriculars there, so I hope to give like a bigger picture and like I'm quote unquote the expert on the high school apparently. So that's why I'm here, and I'm here to represent the high school, and I hope I can do so in an effective way that will benefit the entire school community while I'm here.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, board members, you have the consent agenda in front of you, which is the approval of the regular agenda and approval of the minutes from the July 23rd board meeting. Would anyone like to remove anything? And if not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Okay, Charlie?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Very good. All right. Very
Little song.
I messed with you that time. All right, Dr. Dyer.
Okay, director's report. We're gonna pull this up on the screen real fast. First off, we've had a great start with professional development for teachers. We had a really good week last week, and we're diving back in today. Today, our virtual teachers had their first online training session, and that was really well received, I think. I had that on in my office, listening to what their training they were going through, and it's going to be exciting. It's a new venture for us, but I think it's going to be really exciting, and the teachers seem to be really getting a lot out of that training today. So that was great to see. I just want to say also, I'm very proud of the work of our school-based and AOB administrators preparing for the work that's happened so far. We're just getting cranked up for this school year, but already you're seeing the administrators at our schools, administrators here at the AOB, trying in all decisions to do what's right by our employees and our students. And that means a lot to me to make sure that we're doing the right things and making the right decisions. So I'm very proud of them for what they've done and what they will continue to do. I also want to let you know that the Tennessee Department of Education has approved our continual learning plan, and that is a huge deal. Dr. Elliott and the team that led that, I took them to lunch last week because that's a ton of work, but just a little celebration because that really is a lot of work and a lot of things have to go into that. So we were glad to get that approval, and we were one of the first school districts to get that approval. So that says a lot about our team and the work that's being done. For me, I had the opportunity about a week ago to get my training. I'm now on the board of directors, part of the advisory board for the Boys and Girls Club here in Cleveland. And that's something that I've been volunteering with them for a little while anyway, doing some things with their Andor project, which just changed its name. But basically, I've been helping a little bit there, and it's good to be now working with them in the advisory position just to help further their mission and do some great work. A lot of our city kids attend the Boys and Girls Club, so glad to be part of that. Not only are teachers and administrators and principals doing in-service, I'm also going through in-service right now, and I've taken part of several events. AASA's Advocacy Conference talks about how we need to move some federal legislation through and working with our senators and different representatives, so that's been something I've been taking part in. We also had a summer symposium last week, which centered around equity issues. How can we have more equity assurances for what we're doing in public education? And then also took part in the CAPS Summer Bash. And Dr. Elliott, Rennie Wittenbarger, others participated in that. That's usually an in-person training, but this year everything is virtual, of course. So CAPS is something that's new for Cleveland City Schools and something that we're very happy to be part of, and that training was really well done. I've also had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to meet with individual school principals, and now I'm going through AOB departments. For example, today I met with Dr. Elliott's department to talk through different issues and things, but really just checking with them about basic issues. I'm asking our principals three things. One, what is the morale like at your school, and what are the things I need to know about? Two, how has the AOB been responsive to your needs as a school principal? What are things that we need to do better? What are some things we need to make sure we're communicating? And third, what are things I maybe need to think of that I haven't been thinking of? And just getting that feedback from them. We've had really positive reports coming back, and I'm glad to hear that. But it's been great to just sit down with them for a little bit of time and to hear directly from our school principals, our school leaders. As you're aware from emails that I've been sending, The U.S. Department of Commerce, unfortunately, has put our laptops and a lot of other laptops on a new embargo list for items coming from China. This unfortunately is going to delay our laptop arrivals for probably additional 5 to 6 weeks. So we were looking at late September, October. Now it could be December or January before these laptops get to us. And we're not the only school district in Tennessee or the nation facing this. It's not just Lenovo computers, it's various types of computers that have various type of internal pieces that come from a certain China distributor. So I got on a call last week with AASA, and we had a call with Senator Blackburn's office. They also did a call with Senator Alexander, Representative Dejanay. So we're trying to move those kind of channels to hopefully get our education devices off this embargo list and give in the hands of our students. That's where they need to do. So no new news on that, but that's something that we're working on and something that I've decided to take some leadership on for our state and just try to do what I can do, whatever that might be. So no updates on that as of today, but we're working on it. And the last update I have is, of course, students return next week for Reconnection Week, and we're very excited about that. We have 4 more days of professional development with our staff, with our teachers, and then students will come back. Just as a reminder, Reconnection Week, we're bringing back a quarter of our students per day, Monday through Thursday. It is a full day for students. So those students, when they come back for their quarter day, it is a full day. And then that last day, that Friday, all students come back, and it's a half day. So we'll communicate that out in various ways again, just remind everybody about that. They're excited to see students back in the buildings again. And that's my update for now.
Carol?
Dr. Dyer was wondering, have you all begun to work on a plan B if the computers are not here, or I'm sure you've got things in the back?
We've talked through some different scenarios of what could happen. You know, Dr. Raper has talked about maybe the use of some older computers that we have in our buildings. There's some uses for those. They're not your laptops necessarily, they're more of your desktop units, but we could use those for emergency situations where students need a computer but don't have one in their home. So that would be more of a last ditch effort if we needed to go there, but that is a potential plan to reuse some old computers that probably are on their last leg, but could be used for at least a little bit longer.
Dr. Dyer, can they pull up anything on a phone?
They could, they could do that. It's not gonna be as easy to use a phone device as it is your laptop or even an iPad, but, that's always a possibility for certain students that might need to do that for a shorter amount of
For a
time.
short period of time?
Right, I wouldn't make that a long-term type thing.
I spoke to Dr. Raper before the meeting. Our high school students are gonna get there.
Yes.
It's going to be the middle school and the 3 through 5 that are gonna be slow, so we'll have some, just not
Just
all.
not all. But
Any
we're
other-
working on it.
Any other questions for Dr. Dyer? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Well, we're delighted tonight to have the Executive Director of the Professional Educators of Tennessee here, and J.C. Bowman. And I would like you to come up to the podium if you would, but while you do, I want to say this, board members, this is the month that we recognize so many teachers, but because of the social distancing and all that, we've asked them not to come, except there was one spotlight we just had to have her here. And so we asked her, and she's made a phenomenal effort to be here for us tonight, and I'm going to let J.C. talk about her, and we're going to move right ahead with that spotlight. Thank you for being here, and welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so many people, this is my hometown. I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee. And no matter where I go in the world, I always want to come back here. I love what you guys are doing. I'm a product of Cleveland City Schools. And I see some of my classmates there. I'm married one. So it's really neat for me to be home. But more importantly, it's even a better opportunity to represent my organization, Professional Educators of Tennessee. And I think Dr. Dyer knows we're pretty serious about education and public education in our state. And we continue to grow, and we continue to champion most of the things, like right here, I want some information. I'll make some phone calls for you. We're real serious about public education and what it does, and we think it's the bedrock what we build our country upon. and we're real supportive of what you guys are doing here. Cleveland City Schools' reputation nationwide. I mean, you guys are the best of the best. I'm tired of hearing about Williamson County, Cleveland City, you're way better. But today we're here to celebrate a teacher. It's our most important award that we give out as an organization. It's our Teacher of the Year, our Educator of the Year. And this year is going to a Cleveland City teacher. I can talk a lot about some of the accolades that she could share with you. I can share more about it. But she's an ambassador for public education. Everybody across the state knows Seema Bailey Schwartzel. She has got a reputation, and she carries the tradition and the reputation of Cleveland City Schools proudly across the state. And you are well represented when she goes across the state and does the things that she does for public schools. She elevates the teaching profession. You know that. She does things that she's an honor. The teacher, she mentors people in the teaching profession. She guides them, she helps them, she assists them. The things that she does in that. She encourages people in a day and age where we're telling people, oh, you don't want to be a teacher. She's saying, no, this is a mission field that you really need to go into because we need bright people in this field. And she has done that. More importantly, to elevate that, she touches the lives of her students. If you don't talk to her and she doesn't tell you the things that her kids are doing, then you've not talked to her. She just constantly talks about the students that she has and what's coming up and what's going next and what's going to be happening. And you guys know that. I think somebody mentioned earlier about looking forward to her Christmas tradition in place. So I can go on about this. She is a member of the National Board. She's chosen the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards to speak in front of Congress. She is one of the few teachers that is National Board certified. I could go on about the accolades. She serves on the Tennessee Advisory Board under Candace McQueen and now under Penny Schwinn. She is absolutely one of the best and brightest that this city system has ever produced as a teacher. And it's our honor to give our Teacher of the Year, Educator of the Year award to Seema Bailey Schwartzel.
Everybody else take pictures.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your award.
Would you like to say anything, Ms. Swartzel?
Well, I think that I am so blessed to work for Cleveland City Schools. And that I have the three most wonderful examples of the work that you do in my home every day. And I look around you and I see the eyes of your children that I have taught, the young people that have meant so much to me and will continue to mean a lot to me as soon as I can get better and back in the classroom. But I want to thank professional educators in Tennessee because they are heartful of integrity. And I believe that they are doing the best they can for teachers and for students throughout this state. And I know that we are in a very unique time in history. But I believe that when we come back out on top, Cleveland City Schools will still be shining and doing all that they can to do the best that they can for our students and for the state of Tennessee. So thank you so much. I'm very thank you.
We would all have Thank you for being here tonight, and your whole family is here. You might just introduce them, Seema, tell us who they are.
Well, this is my son, Joel Swartzel, and Joel is a special education teacher at Cleveland High School. and an assistant soccer coach. And he has a great love for students. This is my daughter, Olivia. Olivia is a rising junior at Lee University. She received the Hamilton County award of $20,000 to finish her education, and she will be majoring in special education. And this is my daughter, Aubrey, and Aubrey is, she is going to be a rising freshman at Lee University, majoring in communications. And they are all Cleveland High School. Yeah. And my husband, Michael.
Well, welcome and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to leave if you don't want to stay for the whole meeting. We don't want to hold you captive, so we won't feel bad if that happens, okay?
Ms. Robinson,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's Julie or Jeff or Kelly, whoever did that on the retired teachers and the new ones, I think it was 26 of them I looked through, but whoever did that was well done, because that's always a good time. We recognize retirees and check in with the new ones, but whoever did it, was it Kelly? Well done, because, you know, when you open up retired teachers, like Dr. Dyer was talking about Paul, or Autumn was talking about Yellow Hill Sunday, it was good, it was well done, and good job.
Well, thank you all.
Carol, I'd also like to say to Mr. Bowman, he has some really good editorials. Now, I don't always agree with everything you say.
I don't agree.
But I appreciate your speaking for public education, and I hope that a lot of people read it, because you have some great jobs there.
It's in the bad pretty often, it seems like.
All right.
Anybody else?
I was gonna say, JC is also a very good cook. He was in Miss Melton's home ec class, when he was at Cleveland High School. And the best thing, he would always bring us cookies as a guidance. We really appreciated that.
There you go.
I just said graduate.
Just want to graduate.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, thank you for coming tonight, thank you all.
All right, so we're gonna recognize our retirees this evening.
Mr. Kaiser's going to come forward and do that.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Thank you, Swartzels, for coming.
Good to see you. Good evening.
All right, so good evening, board. As you know, this is traditionally a night where we are here 30 minutes early and we have a new teacher reception and we recognize retirees. But as you can see from everybody wearing masks, we're in a little bit different time now. So we wanted to recognize our retired teachers and we want to recognize our new teachers as well. But without bringing them into a group setting and trying to minimize the situation. So what we've done is we've put together a PowerPoint to allow you to see these faces, especially the retirees that you're very familiar with, and to just get a glimpse of what they maybe meant to their supervisor or to their school. So we're going to kind of go through these school at a time, beginning with the AOB. Paul Ramsey is retiring for a second time. And as you guys are aware, this is a quote from Dr. Dyer. "Thank you, Paul, for your outstanding service to Cleveland City Schools. We will miss calling you to turn on the AC at all hours of the day or night. Seriously, thank you for your patience, grace, and in performing a job that ultimately saved the district thousands of dollars in energy costs so that we can better support the learning taking place in our classrooms." I think everybody recognizes the contributions that Mr. Ramsey has made to Cleveland City Schools in various roles over the years. We hate to see Paul go. Miss Sonia Griffey is retiring from Black Bear Elementary School. And this is a quote from Ms. Carl. "Miss Sonia Griffey has been with Cleveland City Schools for 24 years, teaching the village pre-K and kindergarten students at Black Valley. I'll always remember her passion for teaching, her relationships with parents, her kindness to everyone, preparing our little ones for big school and the beautiful village graduation. We will miss her sweet smile and kind nature." And I know many of you had grandchildren or children in the village preschool. Miss Sonia will be greatly missed, as I spent some years with her at Black Valley. Also at Black Valley, Miss Gloria Scott Richmond. Quote from Mrs. Crum, Gloria has been a part of Cleveland City Schools since 1989. She has inspired to touch so many lives at Blythe Bower with her passion for education. Gloria's vision for starting a band and strings program has provided the opportunity for many students to continue into high school, pursue a college degree, and in some instances given hope where hope was lost. We will greatly miss Miss Gloria's smile, her energy, and her vision for that band program it's one of the few elementary band programs around. So she will be greatly missed. Miss Kelly Hutchins at Cambridge Creek Cherokee Elementary. Quote from Miss Irby. Miss Hutchins joined Cambridge Creek Cherokee Elementary School after several years teaching in Hamilton County. She helped build a culture of teamwork and student advocacy during her time with us. We were privileged to get to know her. Miss Hutchins has had a positive impact on her first graders and her colleagues. Miss Gail Hiddleston, Cleveland High School. Quote from Miss O'Brien. There's a high turnover rate in special education. Gail Hiddleston has been a staple in the special services department at Cleveland High School for 33 years and in education for 40 years. She has a keen way of providing support for teachers while balancing the needs of students. Linda Lemons at Cleveland High School. Quote from Miss O'Brien. Linda Lemons impacted the lives of students on Raider Drive for half a century. She may be small in stature, but her instruction in the classroom was grand. Her legacy will live on for years to come. We will miss her quick wit and her love for her students. And if you ever needed to remember her impact, all you needed to do was have all the teachers that she taught stand in convocation. It was a large, very large number. Shannon Klein, Cleveland Middle School. Quote from Dr. Lang. Shannon came to CMS in 2001 when the school opened teaching ELA. She was the innovator of 6th grade. Shannon was always finding new ways to use technology in her teaching, finding new programs to use and share with her fellow teachers. She is planning to spend quality time with Herb and their dog Dixon. Kay Shelton at Cleveland Middle School. Kay taught science and social studies and was the cheerleader of 6th grade. She could always find a way to cheer folks up when they were having a bad day, and always made folks laugh with a joke or an anecdote about herself. Kay was a tremendous team player and is planning to play many golf games as she can now that she is retired. I spent a couple of years on the team at CMS with Kay, and I know there's no question that she might be on the golf course right now. Ann Woody at Cleveland Middle School. Quote from Dr. Lang. Ann taught ELA and was the encourager of 6th grade. Ann always seemed to know when one of her colleagues was having a special occasion and would always give very fitting gifts. Ann always sent words of encouragement to folks who were having hard times. Ann is planning to enjoy spending time with her grandchildren during her retirement. And this guy, we're not really letting him go yet. Mike Collier Yates, he's going to spend a little more time with us, but we thought we should honor him today. A quote from Dr. Dyer. Mike Collier is a gifted educational leader, and his impression will be left at Yates Primary School and other schools where he has served throughout our district for years to come. I appreciate his get-it-done attitude and willingness to go above and beyond to ensure students and teachers have what they need to do their jobs effectively. Mike Collier from Yates Primary School. Those are our retirees for this school. And a fine group of retirees that was some great education. So we're going to transition now to our new folks, the new smiling faces. We're just going to give you a glimpse of who these people are. If you see them out and about, at least you maybe can put a face to a name as they come up to introduce themselves to you. At Arnold Memorial Elementary, Heather Matthews. At Blythe Power Elementary School, replacing Miss Scott Richmond is Darius Barber, who is one of our student teachers. At Blythe Power Elementary School, teaching 2nd grade, Samantha Coleman. At Blythe Power Elementary School in URC is Abigail Dickey. At Candice Creek Cherokee Elementary School in kindergarten is Tina Owens. At E.L. Ross and at Yates and at Stewart, teaching art with Jessica
Yules.
At George R. Stewart Elementary, in special education is Amanda Brewer. Also at George R. Stewart, special education, in the discovery of Shannon Hicks. At George R. Stewart, I believe in kindergarten, Susanna Liner. Susanna is a CHS product, Food Systems product. At George R. Stewart, teaching technology, Amy Vaughn. At Mayfield Elementary, in 3rd grade, it's Lacey Lemon. At Cleveland High School, David Barber. At Cleveland High School in ELA is Maggie Burns. At Cleveland High School is Mr. Chase Fleming. Kind of tell who the coaches are. They do their hair for the At Cleveland High School, helping coordinate facilities, Dr. Eric Garner. At Cleveland High School, Tracy Malone. At Cleveland Middle School, special education, Don Barber. At Cleveland Middle School in Health Sciences, Jonathan Bovey. He's also a trainer for us. Cleveland Middle School in Math, Matthew High. At Cleveland Middle School in Special Education, Destiny Joyner Hooper. At Cleveland Middle School in ELA, Amanda Legee. At Cleveland Middle School in ELA, Kaylee Stone. At Cleveland Middle School in Science, Cherie Thompson. Cleveland Middle School in Social Studies, Presley Turner. At Cleveland Middle School in ELA, Anna Warren. That is our new teachers at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. It's good that we have their pictures. I appreciate all the trouble we had to go to do that, but since you can't see them here and torture them by making them come to a school board meeting, then I appreciate the picture. Thank you so much.
If I could add one thing quickly.
You can.
Breaking news, I guess you could say, we just got this notification from the Virginia Long at the high school science teacher. She has been awarded Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching.
Wow.
So that is a huge award, and we'll be saying more about that later, but I just wanted to inform you that she's received this award from the state of Tennessee. So congratulations to her, and we'll be talking more about this a little bit later. So fantastic.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, she's my favorite teacher.
There you go.
I had 2 of her classes, I'm in 2 of her classes in grade 5, but she also recently got her doctorate.
She did. So very nice. I wanted to make sure we said that in the board meeting since I had you right here. So
Oh,
fantastic.
excellent. Oh, that's exciting. Okay. All right, so we're gonna hear from the reopening task force.
Yes.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's good to see everybody tonight, and it has been great the last week or so to have our teachers back in the buildings and to see them around. And as you saw in the pictures, the smiling faces, and just we don't see the smiles as much with the masks on, but it is good to see them in the buildings. So just have a few updates regarding our reopening plan. Our task force met last week, again, close to the end of the week on Thursday, just to review everything and how things have been going with the teachers coming back and getting prepared for our students. We covered some ground there. We reviewed our enrollment. We also reviewed, as we do each time, our case count in the county, and we looked at that. And we're right in the yellow zone according to our plan that we have. We're still in that area as we review that. Our enrollment, last week we closed our enrollment online for virtual choices and compared to the traditional in-person. And we had about 21% where we landed. 21% are looking at going virtual this year, virtual school for at least for the first semester, and 79% in the traditional in-person setting. And so we've been working through that. Our staff, our administrators are now taking those numbers and working on their rosters and trying to make sure those are straightened out so that this week we can get that information out to the families. Later in our plan, one of the things coming up at the end, Thursday, we're aiming for our teachers to help make some phone calls to these families and to touch base with them, since we're not going to be able to do as many open sessions and back to school meet and greet activities. So our teachers are working hard to make that contact later in the week.
Jeff, is that number wise at 1,100, 1,200 in that range?
Say that again.
Numbers, you said 21%, is that 1,100, 1,200 or something?
Yeah, right around 1,200 students, yeah. Give or take a couple, we just getting those cleaned up and asking some clarifying questions for a few. So we're right around the 1,200 number for virtual school. A couple of other points that we talked about in that reopening task force. We did have a Commissioner Schwinn and the Governor Lee at a press conference last week about reopening of schools, and a lot of that information we had heard and we anticipated with our continuing learning plan that we put together. One of the things they did share with us is that they're sending classroom kits to our teachers into classrooms. That would include masks for students, masks for the teachers, cleaning supplies for the classroom on a daily basis throughout the year. Principals are responding to those this week, and then those things supplies will be coming to our schools to help our classrooms out for cleaning and those purposes throughout the year. A couple other updates from that. We talked about communication, and proud of our group in our video team, and Julie Smith, and I'll say a shout out to Jansen Brown for coming together with some of our students and teachers for delivering, creating some videos that we posted on social media and on our website, just about those COVID protocols that students will need to follow, about temperature checks, wearing the mask, riding how you do when you get onto the bus if you're going to ride the bus, and details related to that. So a shout out to them. One thing, just an update on our staff for virtual school. Dr. Dyer shared, we had our first online virtual school meeting today with about 80 teachers that will be involved in virtual school teaching this year in some form or fashion, between the middle school and high school teaching certain sections of their day, and then our elementary teachers will be dedicated all day because they have multiple subjects that they're teaching. We're looking at 18 elementary teachers right now who will be specifically focused on our virtual classrooms across Cleveland City schools. And we're proud of the work and the flexibility that our teachers are stepping up to the plate. And that's what this week is about here. We're right in the middle of staff development time and the plan, and we anticipated that was to prepare and give them opportunities to do some training on the curriculum that they're using, and also planning on setting up their classrooms in a virtual way. The last couple of things, just to bring you up to speed with, as Dr. Dyer mentioned, next week is our reconnection week. Just want to reemphasize that each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 25% of our student population is what we're aiming for to come for the full day to get that experience. And then we will have an abbreviated day next Friday, the 14th, half the day. That gives for all our students to come back. And then that gives our staff on the 14th of August, the afternoon, to reflect and to make any adjustments or any decisions that need to be made and evaluate how the week had gone, and specifically that one day of traffic and everybody coming into the building for the first time. So that's the update from our reopening task force, and I'm proud of the work that all our team and all our teachers are doing last week and this week we continue to do as they prepare for our students to come back.
Board members, questions?
Where kindergarten numbers, do you know, Jeff?
Yeah, kindergarten numbers, they were a little lower this year than they have been, but we're looking at around, let me see here, I have it here, 317 in the traditional setting, and around 86 that have chosen virtual. So, around 400. We're probably a few down from a traditional year, and we anticipate some will come here during the first of the year like they do in years past. And so this is an estimate based off of the information that we've had during our early enrollment period.
Any other questions?
The 25%, I like that because it's going to give you an idea of how things are going to flow. And I know with elementary, kids want single file down one side. Or the high school and middle school are going to have always certain days, or how they go down the hallway. What about the lunchroom?
They're working on that right now. I had an email, and talking back and forth about ironing out some procedures at the high school for the lunchroom. It won't be like it normally is. We're cutting down the capacity in the lunchroom, spreading out. They're having a rotation of the lunch schedule, a little different, so that not everybody's eating in the lunchroom. As on a nice day, we're gonna access some outdoor areas with the classes and stuff to eat, and accessing and identifying it. And that's part of what the high school is doing this week, is identifying those locations and the staff as they're working through their schedule. Because last week, the idea, once we found out enrollment numbers for virtual school, then Ms. O'Brien went with her team, and they've been working on those schedules to assign teachers to those virtuals and readjusting the schedule. So they're right in the middle of that right now.
I think school's hard enough to start without all this other stuff too.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes,
Anybody else, any questions for Dr. Elliott? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodness gracious. All right, Dr. Dyer, we're gonna move forward to the policies, and if you wanna just go through each one, anybody can ask questions, and then we'll vote for all of it.
Okay. Well, I will start. The first one is policy 4.203, and that policy is out of date and completely being deleted out of our policy guide. But it is being replaced with policy 4.205. And this is enrollment in college level courses. It deals with students being given the option to take college level courses aligned to a graduation required course and receiving high school credit for that. And it also talks about dual enrollment courses as well. So first off, any questions? I know you've had time to look at this by now. Any questions that you might have?
I had maybe something to consider in lines 7 and 8, where it talks about these will be used, grade 2 classes, college level courses would be used for class rank, grade point average. I wonder if we might extend that a little bit to be a little bit more inclusive, some terminology like and other such designations, just to give us a little bit more
Sure.
for additional accolades or whatever they might consider that.
That sounds good. And I know Jeff can see taking a note over there, so we'll be glad to take a look at that. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. Next is 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, cyberbullying, and intimidation. As you can see, there have been some deletions for certain lines and replaced with the red writing that you see in the policy guide here. A lot of these are driven by changes to both state and federal laws. If you look at page 4 of the document, you can see the legal references. Quite a few have been added to that. So anytime the law changes that many times, you're going to see updates to policies like what we have here as far as definitions, complaints and investigations, response and prevention, those kind of things. So any questions on this particular policy?
In lines 27 and 28 on page 2, could you clarify what might be an example of a athletic event or similar contest that would be not covered under that? I was just confused as to what they were referring to.
Hazing does not include customary, but I would have to bring Doug in for that, and Doug is.
My concern was, could it be misinterpreted as some other activity might not constitute as hazing because it was athletic? I would hate for that to be kind of an umbrella.
Yeah, that has been part of the policy for a long time. I would have to bring him in and get some clarification on that. Is he? Okay.
Groups, clubs, or.
Well, I'm just curious why that is being pulled out. You know, I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure there's something that.
I always interpreted it just myself as being that they could still have competitions and contests within clubs, athletic events, and that would not be considered hazing.
Okay.
But that's just Dawn's, that's what I thought.
I mean, that makes sense.
He is getting his math and he'll be in here, but I think he's going to give you the same answer I would, is that probably in the TSBA policy when it originally went through. You're on. I'm here, you take that. What's the question?
The question deals with lines 27 and 28 of yours.
Not on that slide.
On page 2.
Page 2.
Page 2, it was already in policy. It's in line.
Hazing does not include customary athletic events or similar contests or competitions and is limited to those actions taken in such street connection. Okay, I'm sorry, what's the question?
Could you just clarify what the distinction is? I was just curious what an athletic event or similar contest or competition would be. Is that?
I'm not sure. Where are you seeing that?
Line 27,
Line
28.
27. Hazing does not include customary athletic events or similar contests or competitions. And it's, what they're saying there is, it's hazing, I believe hazing can't take place during the game. It can't take place in a customary athletic event that's taking place within the rules, within the actions of what's meant to be done, what's meant to be happening. That's my understanding.
The paragraph above defines what hazing is, and then that paragraph says what it doesn't mean.
Right.
So
It does not include customary athletic events or similar contests or competitions, and is limited to those actions taken. Yeah, I think that's what it's saying there. Hazing can't take place inside the event, inside the actual, what's taking place, the sporting event.
what we could do though is get TSBA to get some clarification as to their wording on that, because this is first reading, it's gotta come back for a second anyway. So we could do that.
And it might just be me, everybody else might get it. I saw it as opening it up for maybe being misinterpreted and us, something happening that would might get us in trouble.
Right.
It also could be that they're defining that because, they're not considering hazing some of the things that goes on during a customary athletic event, as far as things that are said, trash talking and other those things, wouldn't be pulled in under this board policy per se. That would be dealt with in a different light and different situation. So that may be why they say without customary athletic events and competitions.
But we'll get some clarification on that from TSBA, because that's a good question. It's a little confusing the way they have it written there, so we can definitely get some clarification on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next would be 6.305, student concerns, complaints, and grievances. You can see that there's a word change on this from, it's now shall, field shall instead of will usually. You can also see that a lot of this policy has been taken out because it's actually duplication for what's found in other policies. So TSBA recommended that we clean this out and basically stop at line 14.
Questions? All right.
Okay. 6.319 is alternative education. You can again see that a lot of this policy has been marked out. If you recall, there was a little bit of controversy about state law that was passed a couple of years back dealing with alternative education, and it really restricted what we as public schools could do as far as assigning students to alternative education. And also, if they got into an alternative setting and were causing issues, what we could do with a student in those kind of situations. So the law has been changed, and if you go back to the third page, that's where the red starts, and you can see that there is new policy that's been written in, along with a whole lot of legal references on the back. And this deals mainly with student assignment, and also what do you do with a student who is, again, in an alternative program that is causing disciplinary issues while there. We had our hands really tied there for a while. This gives the school system some leeway to deal with a situation like that. It goes back really to what it used to be until the law was changed. Now they've come back full circle almost on this policy that we have in front of us. So any questions dealing with the alternative? I know you probably have a chance to read it, so any questions on what you think, Brett?
The kids that were zero tolerance or something are back at the high school now. Does that make it different for us? I mean, they're all gonna be at the high school.
They're at the high school, but they're not part of the high school. They're part of a different.
And they're separated, no, I
Right.
didn't know that would
Right.
make a difference.
So no, nothing in there in this policy would make any difference as far as that goes.
So are there no students at the Denny Center?
That's correct. That's correct. And then here you'll notice too, students who have committed zero tolerance offenses are not required to be assigned to the alternative school or program. So if it's a true zero tolerance, we now have more leeway to make a best decision for what could be the best placement for that student, which could be a virtual school, or it could be homebound. It could be something other than more of a regular setting in a school environment. We have not been able to do that in a couple of years.
I know that popped out at me because when zero tolerance came along a long time ago, oh my goodness, it was off at their heads. And not all zero tolerance issues were the same, and so.
This just gives us a leeway to be able to deal with the student in the way that we feel like they need to be dealt with. So we appreciate that leeway.
Any questions on that one? Okay.
6.409 deals with reporting of child abuse, and again, there have been a pretty substantial amount of rule changes as far as this goes from the state, whether it's the State Board of Education or dealing with state laws. You can see that the first part of this has really been taken out because of just those changes that I've just talked about. And it goes into the fact that a couple of things here that have changed, do you think? One, we now must name one employee at the school to be the child abuse coordinator and also someone to be the alternate child abuse coordinator. So the general thinking on this is the principal would be the coordinator of the school, and the school counselor or designee of the school principal would be the alternate child abuse coordinator in case that person, the coordinator, isn't in the building that day. They have to go through special training. They have to make sure they understand the law. We do the training on an annual basis anyway. Another change in here is dealing on page 3 with reporting. All personnel shall be alert for any evidence of child abuse, sexual abuse, or neglect. The personnel know or have reasonable cause to suspect child abuse, sexual abuse, or neglect. A report shall be filed immediately with the coordinator, the Department of Children's Services, and law enforcement. That's a change in what the law has been. So now, the coordinator or the alternate coordinator at the school would be part of the reporting process, along with DCS, and the other change is now and law enforcement. So our SROs would be notified automatically as part of this new way that we would be following child abuse laws as far as reporting goes. It used to be or. It used to be that you could report to DCS or law enforcement or your local, I think it said sheriff, or they had several different things in there. Now they've made it crystal clear that all of these folks should be notified, or all these organizations.
So is it I read this as all personnel, so anybody that's employed by the school
That's
is
correct.
basically a mandatory reporter.
That's it.
Is that consistent with what it's been, or is that a change?
That's been consistent. So whether you're a bus driver, whether you work a school nutrition, whether you're a maintenance employee, teacher, whatever the case may be.
The cases I dealt with in the past, we always reported to DCS and police.
Right.
No, that was just one call after the other, and they both came into the school
Sure.
and investigated, so I don't know that that's a new.
Yeah,
Anything new
that's
because of
pretty much
children.
the way it's been working, but now it's actually spelled out that all of these get a report to document exactly what's taking place, so. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Dyer, if you would go back and pick up Title IX and sexual harassment and skip over that.
Okay, we'll do that one right now. 6.3041, Title IX and sexual harassment, is a brand new policy that's coming in based on changes at the federal level. And the federal law has come in to say that there are some new things that we have to consider dealing with how we deal with sexual harassment issues that come up in a school. As you can see in line 3 there, this policy shall cover employees' behaviors, students, and students' behaviors while on school property, at any school-sponsored activity, on school-provided equipment or transportation, or at any official bus stop in accordance with federal law. So this is all about the federal law that's been changed and modified based on just changes at the federal level of the United States Department of Education. All employees shall receive training on complying with this policy of federal law, so once it's going through its approval, we'll have to arrange for that training to take place. And then it goes through who the coordinator is, definitions of different types of sexual harassment, what behaviors could constitute that and so forth. It goes into the disciplinary measures, how complaints are notified, how investigations shall take place, and then the determination of responsibility and appeals and finally dealing with retaliation. So it's a very, very thorough, well-written document by a good team of lawyers dealing with these federal laws.
I was curious, and maybe it's just me, but do you know why they left the electronic sources out of this one? They included them in the bullying and those types of
Right.
offenses, but it wasn't mentioned as a site
You
for
know,
sexual
unless they
harassment
just
to
think
happen.
it's been covered in other policy already, and they didn't need to duplicate it maybe, but we all know that we have to deal with the online cyber pieces of this on a fairly significant regular basis when you're dealing with schools and students in general, and people in general these days. So I don't know why it's not covered in this specific set of laws, but I know it is covered in other areas, so that's something we would definitely investigate.
Any other questions? I've noticed over the years that policies are written now by lawyers. I think the TSBA policy department is all lawyers. It didn't used to have one lawyer. And the mantra used to be, policy shouldn't be written as if the law. It's written the same as the law. But now, with the litigious society that we live in,
Sure.
our policies do have to look like the law, and they are a lot more complex and detailed than they ever used to be. It's amazing. Yeah. Is that all, Dr. Dyer? So we need a motion to accept these on the first reading with the changes or clarifications that have been mentioned. So Carolyn moved, second?
Second.
Any of those? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, very good. Any opposed? I'm sorry. Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr.
You're
Dyer.
welcome.
All right, strategic plan focus.
Okay, one of the things we have talked about in the past is that we wanted to, when school started back, we got back to somewhat of a regular board meeting schedule, focus on the strategic plan and take one aspect of it, just do updates as we go. So since we're talking about HR issues today and folks that we brought in, I thought that engaged workforce would be a good place to get started. And just some updates here as far as some things that Mr. Kaiser and his department have brought in. One, social media presence is now stronger than ever for, different positions that we are hiring for. And he has worked extremely well with Julie and Rhonda and to make sure that we're posting positions as they come up. And if you follow us on social media, you've seen that. And that's driven the amount of people that know about our job openings, which is a great thing. We have a new Smart Hire online application system, which also allows Kelly and his crew to really track applicants and know where they're coming from. So we know, for example, is it Indeed.com is a new source that we've never been able to really tap into, but the new software package that we are using is allowing us to tap into all these different resources, and we're getting applicants that we've never been able to touch before, and that's what we're after. So we're getting more applicants in, and principals are having to work a little bit harder to go in and cipher through these different applicants, but that's okay. That's a good problem to have. So recruitment will be mostly online. As you are well aware, it's hard to have an in-person teacher recruitment fair right now. That's just something that is probably not going to happen anytime soon. So we're using different recruitment tools to be able to do that, and using sites like Indeed or other places where these jobs are now automatically posted is a great way to get applicants, again, that we've not been able to in the past. Just some anecdotal evidence that we have so far, and we have not had time to get into the weeds of disaggregating all the data just yet because we're still in the process of getting school started and hiring and all those kind of things. But there is some evidence out there that Mr. Kaiser would point to that shows that we are getting more minority candidates applying for jobs and being considered for jobs. So that's a good thing. Now, we have a lot more work to do, and we're committed to doing that, but this is a step in the right direction. The Staff Advisory Council has not met yet, but they will be meeting within the first couple of weeks of school, few weeks of school. So that's something, again, that we're committed to making sure that we have this up and running soon. But the high school and the middle school did have an equity panel that was part of discussions of in-service week last week. And from all accounts, that was well accepted and well received. And that's something that, again, we're committed to making sure that we're doing on a more consistent basis. Just some hiring stats as of when this was published and ready to go. New hires total, we were at 49. It includes anything from school nutrition to teacher aides, teachers. But specifically new teachers into the school system, we had 27 as of the other day. Now, I know today we did some virtual school teacher interviews, so probably that will add a few more, at least 2 more to that list. But Mr. Kaiser and Rhonda have been extremely busy, and it's paying dividends. We've got some great new additions to the staff, and I'm really excited about the upcoming year.
I thought it was pretty neat what you did there. I know it was Jacoby Wood and another student. Was that a minority candidate student too?
Right,
They-
yeah. Dr. Barnes took the leadership of that and really,
Spoke, you know,
as part of our
2
professional
young
development.
people
Right.
that were speaking to the staff. I thought that was very good.
I did
I
too.
do.
I really liked
Yeah, I
it.
like that.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent.
Dr. Dyer, I can't, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember if it came from TSBA or, the State Board of Education or
Right.
Department of Education, but that, I've seen them promoting, I think it's Job Connect. Is
Yes.
that something we're tapping into, or?
Mr. Kaiser, you want to talk about that? Job Connect, there's 2 different versions of it. One is for teachers and one is for recruitment of new substitute teachers as well, which is something that I'll just say, we need quality substitute teachers. If anyone's listening or anybody knows anyone who needs a job, we're hiring for substitute teachers. So go to our website, the application is there. Mr. Kaiser, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, that basically is the state's version of a job board. They're doing a job board for teachers and then also for substitutes. And we just basically have to submit we're a part of it. They can see our information. They know who to contact if they're open jobs. They know where our new job site is at. It shows up on there. If we have a job that we have difficulty staffing, we can push that out through them. That's really what that's for. And then the substitute job board just came online like this week. So really what I'd say is it's maybe our state's version of these job boards, which we're having a lot of success with. We could have as many applicants through Indeed as we have had through our website. So seems to be working. But yes, we're a part of both of those job boards.
Yeah.
Anything that helps.
Excellent.
Good, thank you.
I like that update on our strategic plan focus. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move to a part of the agenda that I do not look forward to. As we know, this is Ms. Morgan's last school board meeting as an official school board member, but of course you're welcome to come to as many as you want.
I'll regret that.
I know. What did he say? I will advise all to say something, but I have written a little bit here, Steve, so I'm sorry that you're going to have to humor me, and I'm the chairman, so I get to say this.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought long and hard about what to do, and I thought I'd do a slideshow, but then, it dawned on me that you can't see. And so I thought slideshow wasn't going to be any good for Steve. So what I did was just write a little bit of history here for you, Steve. And I love to give history lessons,
Yes.
especially to city council members. So if y'all humor me, I'm going to go through a little bit of history. Steve decided to run for the school board in 2008. He was opposed by Myron Blake and Rod Davis. And he won. It was an at-large seat, still is an at-large seat. He was sworn in September of 2008 by our newly elected Judge Mike Sharp, and the board chairman at the time, Hagen Pesterfield, immediately appointed you to the site committee. We began talks about the need of a new science wing at the high school, and so a science focus group was chosen, made up of interested parents and teachers. Gene Bishop was hired by Dr. Denning and the school board to oversee the construction of that. Mayfield was voted the TSBA New School of the Year, although some people around here said it was overpriced. I'm going to have a lot of subtle things in here, Steve, but you're going to know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
The CHS dome was declared dangerous by a structural engineer. This is in 2008 now, when he got on board. The opportunity for an increase in our sales tax by a half cent or 50 cents on $100 was put to a referendum by the city council. Steve was front and center in the drive to educate our community about the benefits of that sales tax to fund capital projects in our school system. He spoke to civic clubs, PTOs, teachers, churches, or anyone who wanted information. He took his Thin Mints to those presentations and used them as a real-life example of the effect that the increase would have on your pocketbook day to day at the cash register. After being turned down by Bradley County to join in the referendum, the city only passed it, and then Bradley County decided 3 months later to hold their own referendum, and they passed it as well. And this fall, our board voted to hire Paul Ramsey as our new energy manager. Consequently, through these years, we have continued the use of geothermal systems in our new buildings. We have entered into contracts to upgrade our HVAC systems and kitchen equipment, and with Paul's leadership, our system has saved over $5.5 million. In 2009, Charlie Cogdell, athletic director at Cleveland High School for 11 years and a teacher and coach for 25 more years, decided to retire. He later joined the school board. In June of 2009, we're still in your first year, Steve, Cleveland City Schools had about 4,700 students. August of 2009 found the board approving the architectural drawings for the Max Carroll Science Wing and approving the best value process for finding a contractor. This was a process used by the state of Tennessee. So we faced the city council, minus the mayor who was out of town that day, and answered questions about our procurement process for contractors, which we did very openly. Steve was the leader of this charge. The meeting at the city was heated, to say the least. Every single one of us was accused of something shady, having nothing to do with the building of the science wing. Your accuser, Steve, an outspoken citizen, at that meeting even challenged your blindness. It was an ugly meeting, it was difficult, and afterwards the city council suspended our funding for the science wing. Well, our board walked away with our heads held high. We had been ambushed, and it was one of the ugliest meetings we had ever attended. The council later renewed the funding. And this was just your first year, Steve. In January 2010, we had groundbreaking for the science wing. The board voted to dedicate 10% of our additional sales tax money to the technology on a continuing basis. Other building highlights during your time on the site committee: Arnold School was voted best renovation by TSBA. Stadium lights were added at Cleveland Middle School. The Betsy Vines Little Theater at the high school was totally renovated. George R. Stewart School was renovated and the 50th anniversary was observed. The Max Carroll Science Wing was dedicated, and it was also awarded a School of the Year award by TSBA. Building sites for a new school were evaluated, and finally one was purchased on Georgetown Road for a new elementary school. A sensory garden was built at Cleveland High School. A sensory room has been built at Ross. An alumni walk has been placed at Cleveland High School, and new roofs were placed on Cleveland Middle School, elementary schools, and press boxes. The dome at the high school was condemned and closed in 2013 and torn down in June of 2014. The Raider Arena was named, designed, and then opened in 2016. New stadium turf was purchased in 2017. The junior ROTC room at Cleveland High was named in honor of Colonel Tom Rowland. And Candies Creek Cherokee School was designed, named, and built, opening in the fall of 2019. Safety was a top priority for you, Steve, during your tenure on the board, and some of the steps taken with your leadership on our board to make our schools safe happened as you were chairman of the site committee. Some of those improvements were: secure entrances were built at Yates, Ross, Stewart, and Black Bower. We funded keyless entry systems, SROs in every school, and more cameras and better radio communication was approved and funded. As enrollment continued to increase, you were instrumental in initiatives that supported student learning. You supported standard-based report cards, which was very new and controversial at the time. That was back in your first year as well. You voted for one-on-one computers, ultimately becoming our BLADE initiative. You supported the addition of culinary arts at Cleveland High, as well as the Air Force Junior ROTC program. You supported Rennie Wittenbarger as he grew our CTE programs, which were recently visited and praised by Governor Lee. New school start times were reviewed and began as a response to community input. The student board liaison began serving on our board. You voted to implement free lunches for all students in the fall of 2014. We redesigned and opened the Denning Center for Technology and Careers, a new independent school where Barbara Ector admirably served as principal. We watched as the interior was renovated and Dr. Denning was honored as the namesake of that building. You watched as the challenge to our revenue from the liquor taxes was begun in 2015, finally ending in the Tennessee Supreme Court in 2019. That court upheld our chancellor's ruling that the liquor tax had always been properly distributed by the city of Cleveland. In 2016, Carolyn Ingham retired after 40 years in public education, and she was later elected to the school board. Steve, you've been a voice to our legislators advocating for Cleveland City Schools. You addressed the issue of elected versus appointed superintendents with then Senator Dwayne Bunch. You ran through the campus of Belmont University to get inside the gubernatorial debates before the doors were locked when Governor Haslam was elected. You addressed the city council when it began suggesting adding parents to the school board, which of course they couldn't do. You were present in 2012, when TDOT began talking about redesigning the entrance to Cleveland Middle School, so when they built the road in 2016, it would be ready.
Whoa.
If that gives you a
Yes.
yeah.
I was blonde-headed then.
Our overcrowded elementary schools are a topic you put in front of the public every chance you got. You were present in Nashville and at home conversing with our legislative and local governing bodies. You have served on this board with 11 different members. You have served as site committee chairman and frequently as vice chairman. We have remained a board of distinction during your service. You have bade farewell to one long-serving superintendent and fired another, and you have taken part in 2 superintendent searches. You have helped us grow from 4,700 students to 5,700 students. You have experienced the fun of rezoning a whole school district. You have watched one full cohort of students move through kindergarten to graduation. You have watched over 4,000 students graduate. You have responsibly overseen the spending of $500 million tax dollars. There are so many more things, Steve, but all I can say to you is job well done. We're going to miss you. And you must have some great wisdom to duck out on this year of the COVID. That's all I can say.
I never thought I would leave the board and everybody be fighting behind masks.
So I would love entertain comments from all the board. I'm sure everybody has something they'd like to say, but I wanted you to know and Dr. Dyer to know the leadership that we have had with Steve serving on the board and how our students have all been.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Well, I will start if that's okay. This just proves what a board can do when they work as one entity compared to boards that we've all known presently and in the past that come in with agendas and basically get nothing done. And you've been a big part of that. And we'll miss you here, but I'll see you in your other job and mine too.
Yes.
So I appreciate you, Steve. Even though we haven't agreed on everything, we've still been man enough to discuss it and move forward.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Dawn, you did an excellent job writing up all those achievements. I'm just very, very impressed.
It's about Steve. It's about Steve.
It's about Steve, and you did a wonderful job. It's all true. And I just want to say, Steve, you have been an inspiration to so many because, you know, you have proven that you can do anything that you set your mind to do. And we really appreciate you, and we will definitely miss you.
Thank you. And you guys have been kind. Whether it was Opryland Hotel or Belmont or other places, cars and cities, and been very kind-hearted to not leave me behind. So,
Steve, I remember my first board meeting, and I was a little scared, didn't know what I was getting into, but you were very kind to me and came to me and told me how glad you were that I was on the board, and you don't know how much I appreciate that. And, thank you for doing that. We're going to miss you.
One word I got to describe you is class. You always have a lot of class, Yes, sir, funny times though, when we were in the process of trying to replace this previous superintendent, we made a trip to Collierville, and what was the pie, Doctor?
Silver caboose,
What was the pie?
chocolate chess pie.
Okay, Peggy Pesterfeld brings one back to Joe, and we're all driving back. I think Tom was driving, I drove out there. Steve's punched me in the shoulder. He said, "Steal that pie." Peggy had this pie underneath the seat. He knew it was there. So I got the pie and gave it to Steve, and he hid it and everything. But the night, I don't know, the night you interviewed or somebody, and Merle Dirksen, if you're listening, Merle, you'll remember this. The meeting's over, and we had that luncheon, and, the candidates went back, and Steve said, "Charlie, can you take me home? Merle forgot me." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll take you home." So we go down the hill at Mayfield, Merle calls, "Hey, Steve, I'm sorry, I'm on the way back." Steve said, "Ain't no problem, Merle, I'm just walking home, I'll get there." He's in my car that time, but he's telling Merle he's walking home.
I'm talking about halfway there.
He told me what? But I've enjoyed being with you, my friend.
Thank you, Charlie, very much.
And I did get my pie back, I can't remember, but I did get it.
Before you got out.
Well, Steve, I mentioned this to you earlier, but I really appreciate how you've been a mentor to me. And from the very first time we met at the debate, that was the two of us who were both running uncontested and the only ones that showed up. You walked me through and taught me the ropes, and were always here beside me to help guide me as I got used to being a board member. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Gus, very much. I remember running for office, and I made my campaign, and then my promise to you guys that were here then and has remained was that I wouldn't bring any agenda to my office. It was too important, and I wanted to, because of my work ethic, because of my faith, because of my family, because of who I need to be and how I want to lead things. I want to lead better than I can. My prayer is that I've done that. A couple of quotes that I wanted to share, just that have kind of guided me. One is, "Don't strive for recognition, but work worthy of it anyway." Abraham Lincoln. "To give real service, you must add something that can't be bought or measured with money, and that is sincerity and integrity." And I've tried to do both of those. You guys have not just been colleagues, you've become friends, you are top shelf. We are, in my opinion, the best school board in the state of Tennessee and beyond, because of what Tom spoke of, which is your classy people, your honest, good, hard-working people, and you strive to do the right thing when it's hard to do the right thing. So thank you for allowing me to serve. It's a privilege. I'll eat better than I can. Thank you.
And I guess I'll finish up with the words tonight and just say thank you for hiring me, number one, and bringing me to East Tennessee. I have absolutely loved working with this whole board, but with you and individually, and the questions you ask, the things that you bring to the group, it will be missed. And I just appreciate your service over the many years. I didn't know all the history, so that was good for me to hear tonight. But you made an impact on thousands of students here in Cleveland, and I know you'll continue to do that in your other career, but thank you for what you've done specifically for me and for Cleveland City Schools.
Thank you, sir.
Steve, we have an item for you to place on your desk. It's very sharp. So we got it. It says Cleveland City Schools with our new logo, and it says Steve Morgan, in appreciation of dedicated service 2008 to 2020, Cleveland City Schools Board of Education. So we hope you will display that in your office, and that we hope that you can be a proud part of your past, and don't be a stranger to the board.
I'm available if I'm needed.
You've also been a spiritual leader for all of us unofficially. I know we've all probably needed your guidance occasionally during these years, and you provided that, and you've just been a steady good, solid person to have on our school board, and you are going to be so missed.
Thank you. I'll continue to be that as well, and know you pray for daily. This is one of the most, and I don't say this, I don't want to scare the incoming people, but it's one of the most thankless things I've ever done, but one of the most gratifying things I've ever done. And so, you don't get a lot of thanks, but you don't do it for that. So, thank you, and I will display that along with my, the iron cutout thing that the high school made, hanging in my office at home, and I'll put that in my office at
And I'll get it to you. Maybe I won't make you get up here and walk up here and give it to you. Actually, you'll be able to feel this one, Steve, so you can kind of see it. So,
Thank you.
Julie picked it out for us. She did a great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate you doing that too, Julie. One more thing, if you all will please pay attention to the dates to remember, because fall district meetings there, it hasn't been canceled that we know of yet, and also our board meetings. There's a little bit of variation on those because of October is the fall break, and so it's the next week. So just pay close attention to that if you wonder when we're going to be trying to get back on schedule with our board meetings.
September's a Tuesday. isn't it?
Right, because it's Labor Day.
And then, yes. Dr. Darren?
I don't, that's it.
Julie?
I think we need to thank Mrs. Morgan for her,
Very good.
letting, allowing Steve to be with us.
For putting up with Steve?
Yeah.
Me and his constant ride home.
Yes.
Along with you.
Yes, thank you for being here.
She is the wind beneath his wings, isn't she?
Yes.
Not even close. She's my hero.
We appreciate you too, Sherry. Thanks, Carol. Anything else anybody have? Okay, well, we will adjourn by general consent. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.